Sadhana are the different spiritual practices, and Sadhyam is the goal. There are many spiritual practices, but there is only one goal. Mostly people confuse with Sadhana and Sadhyam. Many people think that the spiritual practices itself is the goal. But the goal is different and the spiritual practices are different. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. These are the words of the Upanishads. Whether we accept it or not, we believe it or not, we realize it or not, or if we are aware of it or not, this is the truth. It exists for all the three times, that is the past, present and future. I am Brahman, that's the truth, that's the reality. However, in my transactional life, I do not feel this reality. I do not feel that I am Brahman at present. I always identify with my body-mind complex. If I identify with my body, then I feel about I'm aware of my family status, or about my nationality, or about my physical features, or whatever it be, anything connected with the physical body. If I identify with my mind, then I am aware of my emotions, like I am happy, I am sorrow, or I am angry. All these emotions, I am aware of it. If I identify with my intellect, then I am aware of my qualification, my education, what I know, what I do not know. All this I am aware of it. But in nowhere I am aware of my real identity, that is, I am Brahman. So what makes this difference? When the Upanishads say that every person is Brahman, then there is no contradiction in it. However, in the real life, we do not feel that we are Brahman. Why is this discrepancy? This discrepancy is mainly due to the ignorance. Ignorance about what? Ignorance about the reality that every person is unlimited, is infinite. We feel that we are limited. We feel that we are this form and this mind structure, that's all. We do not accept the fact, or we are not aware that we are an infinite being. Not only we, every being in this world is infinite. They are the different forms and expressions of Brahman. The plants, the animals, or everything. But they do not feel it, or they are not aware of it, because they have or they do not have a well-developed mind. We human beings, we have a well-developed mind. In spite of it, we do not feel, or we hesitate to accept the fact that we are Brahman. This is mainly because of the ignorance in us. The ignorance that we are we cannot accept the fact that we are infinite. So in what way does that affect my life? If I do not accept it, what is it? What way does it affect my life? If we feel that we are a limited person or a limited being, then we always search for something external to make us complete. The feeling of non-contentment always exists in us. So we go for external benefits. We have desires. Desires arise in our mind just to make us complete. Some people feel that if they have more wealth, then they are complete. Some people feel that if they have more educational qualification, then they are complete. There's nothing wrong in desiring for this. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong. But the way you feel inside, that makes the difference. Sometimes our desires are satisfied, sometimes they are not. If they are not satisfied, then we feel that we are incomplete. That's the point there. So we feel that we are an incomplete being. So the desire arises in our mind. To satisfy that desire, we perform action. And once we perform action, we are caught in the network of karma phala. And it gives results, the karma gives results. then we satisfy, according to that we take rebirth, then cycle, the cycle goes on. So the whole of the Advaita philosophy is to remove this ignorance. Almost all the spiritual practices like karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, everything are there to remove this ignorance. Each one of them does their work in removing their ignorance. Apart from this, there are many spiritual practices like pujas, religious rituals, meditation, shravana, manana, nitidhyasana, knowledge, imparting knowledge. All these practices, all these spiritual practices are basically to remove this ignorance and make us feel that we are an infinite being. So these are the spiritual practices. They are not the goal. Attaining knowledge is not the goal, but how that we use that knowledge, that's the goal. These spiritual practices are called sadhanas. And the realization, that is the sadhyam, that is the goal. We use these spiritual practices to realize or to become aware that I am Brahman. There's a very strong point here and a basic misunderstanding here. Many people think that these spiritual practices are to make one a Brahman or to become Brahman. No, it's a wrong conception. We are already Brahman. Only thing is we have to realize it. And these spiritual practices are practiced to make one realize or to make one aware that he is Brahman. And it's not an easy job. This knowledge easily slips from the mind. So again and again, we have to establish this knowledge in the mind by various practices like nididhyasana, shravana, manana, and one of the most important practice in this is listening. Listening and just observing this knowledge. It makes a lot of difference. So these are the spiritual practices. And the spiritual practices are there to make one aware or to make one realize the goal, that is the realization. And the fact is, I am Brahman. Each being in this world is Brahman, but they are ignorant of it. And the spiritual practices make one realize that they are Brahman. So the sadhana are the spiritual practices, and the sadhyam is the goal, that is the realization. When you do all these spiritual practices, it gives chitta shuddhi, that is purity of mind, and chitta ekagrata, that is concentration of mind. With this, we can easily attain knowledge, jnana, which helps realization. So realization is the goal, and the fact and the reality is, each being is Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. To realize this, the whole spiritual practices helps us to realize this fact. So this is the difference between sadhana, spiritual practices, sadhyam, goal, and the reality, that is I am Brahman. Thank you for watching.